All right. So this week in my readings, there was so much that I felt like I was really listening to in reflections of my own guided reading or running records. And while I teach fourth grade, what the things that I'm focusing on are very different than what an earlier beginning reader would be looking for. But there was a lot that I felt like I was being called out on. And I could easily see how I can adjust how I use the data and how I use those assessments to guide my instruction, even for my fourth graders. Um, but it was definitely eye opening to see how I would use those for early on readers as well. Um, so, focusing first on the clay text out of chapter 4, what to observe and then how to use that information was really valuable for me. Um, Thinking about things like using assessments to really focus on the learning task, not necessarily in isolation, but looking at it in context. Um, they gave an example of observing children when they are within a learning task, not like a standardized test of reading or spelling. Spelling, for instance, I give spelling inventories and then I try and do word study based on that need. However, when I notice that they have mastery, I am not connecting it to their within writing context. And I feel like that could really push my instruction to the next level and help them close that gap. So I feel like lots of those areas where I might be using an inventory or an assessment, but not in context like this book suggests. I would also like to see that in reading as well. So far in my running records, I have only used reading A to Z texts, and I've done just passages, I've done books. However, I have never done a reading record for texts that we are learning with the curriculum, such as the guided reading text discusses along with the clay text. Both of them mention using a text that's closely linked to their curriculum and also listening to texts that they've had a chance to read, not necessarily a cold read. They refer that to being more of an assessment, like a test, and it's never really clicked with me like that before. So I'm very interested to get that into my um, assessment type almost, and I can definitely see how that would be beneficial to peek into those early readers to listen for what are they doing when they break down the words. Are they decoding? Are they looking for syllables? Are they trying to use their letter to sound recognition, their phonemic awareness? All of that would be better off with a text they've seen at least once rather than it being such a cold read. So um, I also really appreciated how the clay text talks about having a big picture, not just using one assessment, but using several pieces to really see that. Um, I think that I so often go off of a single assessment piece that I don't get the big picture of the student. Like I said, the spelling is a great example where I've put so much merit into that one assessment, but I'm not seeing how other assessments give me the full picture of the student. Um, Going back to the Fontes and Pinnell text for guided reading with comprehension strategies, I love how it breaks down into all of the different comprehension strategies and how you could be modeling for the students. I love how it talks about making sure that you are building um, things like introducing a text, making sure that you have discussions about what fiction brings versus nonfiction and how you would approach the text based on the type of text. All of those conversations just building a stronger reader with real life knowledge that they need to be given. And then going all the way through talking about metacognition and making inferences and summarizing the text, just doing a really good job at modeling and trying to put that into practice in your guided reading using a text that could be curricular. Like I said, I have struggled with choosing what text to use for this, and I've only used A text from Reading AZ, I have not used my curricular text, which is so silly. It'd be really interesting to pull those same students, group them on need, and then actually use the text that I would need to use whole group. Let them see it again. One of the things that the Fontes and Pinnell text talked about was we never revisit texts. That's something that we almost feel like we've finished. So those are all things that I am really holding on to from this read.